300 miles and out. It's time to retire the Adidas Evo SL. So welcome back to another long-term shoe review and the final installment, update, whatever you want to call it, of the Adidas Evo SL. This has been absolutely incredible. I've got it to 300 miles, but it's time to press pause. It's time to stop the journey and retire this shoe. It's got more life left in it. I'm sure it could go on for quite a while, but it's just not working for me anymore. And we're going to dive into why that is very, very shortly. As with all long-term shoe reviews, we'll be going through the wear and tear, how I've been using it since the last update, and then of course, will I keep using it moving forward, which of course I won't be, and I'll go into a bit more detail there. So let's dive in to the wear and tear. So I've been massively impressed with this shoe and how it's been holding up with wear and tear. We'll start with the upper. It looks absolutely brand new. It's brilliant. Of course, there's a few scuffs, a little bit of mud splattered here and there, a little bit of staining from those dusty trails, but honestly, it is just holding up so strong. Everything you want in a daily trainer, and I stand by it. This is the best daily trainer of the year so far, and I know a few people got it last year, but the main release was this year, so it's definitely an absolute winner for me. As I mentioned in my intro video, for those of you who missed that one, I did have to make a slight nick in the top here. That was just to be a bit more accommodating for my big toe. I'm in between sizes with Adidas, and for me, the size up again just becomes way too baggy. So I'd rather just put a little nick there so that it fits better overall, and I've then got a bit more room for my big toe, and it's been absolutely fantastic, just like in other Adidas shoes, to be honest with you. As for the midsole, again, it's still got lots of life left in it. However, I have noticed a little bit of a change with this one. Light Strike Pro lasts forever and it just goes on and on and on. What I've noticed in terms of performance though, is it has felt a little bit different, and we'll go into that shortly. Visually though, it's still really great. I'm just sadly not able to get the most out of it anymore. And in terms of the wear on the outsole, again, the grip on this shoe is brilliant. We all know Continental rubber is fantastic. The clear rubber at the back has also been great, and even though it's such a thin layer on the top here, it just seems to be gripping for England. It's absolutely amazing. There are some scuffs around the edges here on the exposed midsole, but it is just so few and far between. Look at this here. It's literally only just starting to chew up there, and it's almost just taking off the top layer. It's not doing anything. After 300 miles, it's doing really well. It could just keep going and going. So let's move on to how I've been using this shoe. How have I used it since the last update that you saw at 200 miles? Well, I rocketed to 100. I tried to push, pause and mix in a couple of other shoes, in particular the On Cloud Surfer 2, in between 100 and 200 miles. So it took me a bit longer to get there, but I've since rocketed from 200 to 300 because I just have not wanted to take this shoe off. But I did notice, as I said, a couple of changes. A little bit too much collapsing going on the medial side, which has just caused a couple of issues. So that's the only sad thing, but the reality is it's just been used so much for easy runs, steady runs and long runs. I put in a really solid 60-mile long run in this only 2 or 3 weeks ago, a progressional one where I started at around 8:03 per mile and finished down at 5:37, and I just chipped away 10 seconds every mile, and it was absolutely brilliant. What I found with this shoe is it can literally do absolutely anything, and anything you ask for it. I still stand by the fact that I wouldn't use it for those real top end intervals. I've been using the Adios 9 for that 5K specific work and quicker, and of course now the Nike Streakfly. And although I could use that for this, I prefer to use something a little bit more with ground contact feel, something a little bit less in the midsole. This does offer you so much support and so much cushion. I feel like it's important for me to feel like I'm in control of everything that's going on, and so there's a little bit less foam under my foot. But overall, everything else, taking this thing down to 10K effort, it's been absolutely brilliant. I've done K reps in it, I've done everything, but the majority of the miles from the 200 to 300 mile mark, as I mentioned, were pretty much easy, moderate. The first half of some more low-key workouts where I'm saving the faster stuff in the second half and maybe doing more marathon specific stuff in this, and then of course those long runs. So will I continue to use this shoe moving forward? Well, as I've mentioned a couple of times, sadly not. This is going to be the end of the road for the Evo SL. A couple of reasons, I'll go into those right now. I feel strongly I could easily get 500 miles out of this shoe if I wasn't having the issues that I was with it. I feel like durability is absolutely phenomenal. I actually feel like I could get way more than 500 miles, but I feel like you're getting into dangerous territory recommending a shoe to go that far. Obviously, injury risk, you've just got to be a little bit careful, and like for me, that's exactly why I'm pushing pause on it right now. But I got the Adios Pro 3 to 500, and I felt like that could have kept going as well. I just started to experience the same in that shoe as I did in this one. So what's going on? I'm effectively collapsing a little bit too much as I'm pronating. I feel like the midsole foam has changed slightly. It feels like with Lightstrike Pro, it takes ages to bed in. It feels quite firm in the beginning, and then as you start to get going in the shoe, it starts to warm up a little bit. It gets softer as you progress, and I genuinely feel like I hit 200 miles and it was really starting to open up. I felt like the midsole foam felt lighter, it felt airier, and it felt bouncier. What you'll often notice with the Lightstrike Pro midsole foam, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree or disagree, you can let me know in the comments, is that when you're running in it, it feels quite a thick and dense midsole. It feels like you get all the spring back you need as you go through the gait cycle. It feels like it gives you all the recovery benefits with that comfort and squish, but it does feel dense. What I've noticed in the last 100 miles is that foam has started to feel a little bit lighter, a little bit airier, and a little bit less dense. And what I have found that has meant is as I am rolling through the gait cycle, I am collapsing inwards slightly too much. And what that has done, as per in previous running shoes from a variety of brands, it caused a little bit of pain in and around the shin area, up the ankle, and of course in the plantar fascia as well, just as I'm just rolling in too much. In particular on my right side, if you've seen my race videos, if you've seen my running form, it's not the best, and I do have a bit of a gammy right foot, which does kind of like, as I go through the gait cycle and I land and I kick out, I know this is my left shoe, but as I go through, it doesn't necessarily go straight back, it does kick out gently, and yeah, that's just kind of a bit of a weak link in my chain. And so I do find that if I have a shoe, especially on that right side, that is a little bit soft in the midsole, I can find that I collapse inwards. Takumi Sen 9 was a brilliant example. For that one, I only got to about 100 miles before that started to give me a bit of jip. The New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel version 2, that was another one I had to retire early. The Adios Pro 3, I got to 500, but I started to notice similar in that one. And now this one is doing the same in and around that 300 mile mark. And the other reason, not necessarily shoe based, but based off of what I've just explained, is that I've noticed that as I'm running, I'm starting to change my form to accommodate for the fact that my foot is rolling in. So I'm making a conscious effort on my right hand side to really, really over exaggerate landing on the outside of my foot and rolling through, whereas I wouldn't normally. So again, what I start to notice is things start to ache towards the end of the run, not just the classic sort of lower shin, ankle, plantar fascia, but up my leg, into my glute and things like that. And of course, that's a dangerous game to play. You've just got to be really careful with running shoes. I could look at it and go, well, I could get more miles out of it, I could persevere with it, and I could potentially get 400-500, but what's going to be the long-term damage of that? I have to also remember that I paid only £135 for this shoe, 130, sorry, which is a great value shoe in this day and age for such a quality piece of kit. To get 300 miles out of it, I'm pretty happy. I'd have liked to have squeezed more, of course, and felt like I'd have got massive value for money, but it's just not worth the injury risk. And of course, I've got plenty of other shoes that I can get using and other ones that I've got my eye on that may or may not replace this. I think the reality is I'm gonna buy another pair at some stage. I'm just maybe gonna tinker in my rotation a little bit to see if I can move some other shoes in there to try and do the job that this one has been doing. Reality is though, I don't think anything is going to be doing quite as well as this thing. Oh, and completely my fault, something I forgot to mention on the wear and tear, it's happening in both shoes. I'm not sure if you can see along the seam there of the rubber outsole and the midsole, but it is just starting to peel away a little bit, and it's going from top to bottom there. Not that I think that's going to make a big difference at all, and not that I think that's going to make any difference over like 400 or 500 miles. It really is only just coming away from the seam there, but otherwise I just wanted to mention that. Don't know if any of you guys have experienced that too. So what are going to be the other options now that Evo SL is retiring? Well, I slipped on the OnCloud Surfer 2 again, which I'm absolutely loving, for an easy run today, and that felt really good. No pains in the ankles or anything like that, so I'm definitely making the right choice. And again, that's a shoe that I've really loved, so that can take up a lot of the easy running. But of course, it's that steady running area, that long run area. I don't particularly want to be slipping on plated shoes every single weekend. It's good fun to do here and there, and I might do it this weekend, to be honest with you, but it's not going to happen every weekend. And so I need a shoe that's going to come in and deal with those moderate efforts. Of course, I've mentioned already, I am keen on getting the Boston 13. However, early reviews tend to indicate that that one isn't quite as exciting, a little bit firmer, a little bit heavier. So we'll see. I still am keen on trying it, but maybe it's not going to be quite as exciting as the Evo SL. So then that leaves a bit of a hole in the rotation for that steady running area, which in the past I've had the Evo SL, of course I've had the Noosa Tri, which I've loved, the Brooks Hyperion Max 2, and of course those are the areas that I do my long runs in as well, and that zone 2 steady state running. So it's going to need a little bit of thought. Any recommendations that you guys can think of, please do drop them in the comments. And of course my only other option is the Adios Pro 3, if I can still find a pair of those on discount. So at the moment they seem to be retailing around between 160 to 180 pounds, around about 170. I am waiting for them to drop even more. Of course, I think what's going to happen is when the Pro 4 floods the market, because it seems like stock on that isn't particularly high at the moment, that's when we'll see the Pro 3 really drop. So that's something that I am still keeping my eye on. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. And then of course, when that gets down into the realms of potentially 130, 140, and I might be able to find a sneaky discount, I will be jumping on that quicker than anything I have before. So I am keeping my eyes peeled for that, doing almost daily checks around that, and potential deals on the Evo SL. If I can get those even cheaper, I'm definitely going to be looking to replace it, maybe with another pair. But as I said, any recommendations you guys have, please do drop them in the comments below. That's it for the Adidas Evo SL update. If you're interested in seeing something a little bit more new, check out this video up here. This is my recent long run test of the Nike Vaporfly 4, which maybe controversially or not, I labeled as the worst super shoe of the year. A very enjoyable shoe, but definitely not competing with my Puma or any other super shoe that I've tried recently. And check out this video down here where I did a little bit of testing between the Adios 9 and the Streakfly version 2.